Hey, everybody.
Marisstella, it's good to see you not in a convention center,
I know it's nice to be off of Zoom and in the world.
isn't it? And what an incredible place. So, in addition to everything you're going to hear up here today, we're all going to get a peek at some of the great NCAA and Heisman content that Nissan puts out for us every year. And what an amazing place to see it, right? Full size, great sound.
Yep. I can't wait to show you guys. We have some really good work to share.
Yeah. So, when most of us think about Nissan and culture, the obvious kind of jumping off point and crown jewel in the lineup is the Z line. Do you want to talk a little bit about that DNA and how you extend it maybe to make the rest of the line resonate as well?
Yeah, the Z is really about unleashing your drive. I got the pleasure of taking a yellow Z out around Southern California, and it was insane. I got high fives. People were whistling. I went home and told my husband, I've got it again. I was so excited. He was like, no, babe, that was the car. I was like, oh, I didn't really understand. But it was an amazing experience. So, really, the DNA of Nissan is about unleashing your drive. And what does that mean? That means that when you're experiencing the vehicle, you're experiencing it the way you want to experience. Obviously, the Z, I was experiencing it in high velocity, and the GTR. But there's things like the Pathfinder. We have a Pathfinder Rock Creek that we just came out with. And that one is really about capability and performance. Then we have the Murano, which is about this interior oasis. So it's about unleashing your drive in the way the customers want to unleash their drives.
So thinking about automotive marketing generally, it really kind of sits on those four basic foundations, and we'll sort of skip past the QDRS, the product excellence, customer experience aspect, and talk about where the culture piece, for this session really kind of lives, and maybe share a bit about how Nissan approaches that.
Yeah, at Nissan, we have pillars that we work for. I can't tell you all of them because it's a secret, but one of the pillars is pride of the ride. And what that means is a couple things. It means how we show up in culture from a DE&I perspective and how we connect with things happening in our universe, in our world. And one of those things is college football. Anyone know what that is? Okay, this is a trick question. Is there anyone that's an Alabama fan in the audience? Oh no, I'm sorry. Okay, let's try this again. Is there anyone here that's an LSU fan? All right, well, okay, one person. Okay, I'm gonna try again. USC. That's unfortunate. But
The good news is we have something for all of them, right?
Exactly. Something for all of them. Why don't we play the spot and let's talk a little bit about our Heismans.
Come on, rookie, you sleep down here.
Is that? Whoa, Reggie Bush.
Lost track of time in there. So, what's new?
Since you asked.
Pretty cool. Anything else? What is he doing?
He's watching the game.
Okay, what'd y'all think? All right, so as you may or may not know, Reggie Bush got his Heisman back. There's some fans, got to have some fans. So we wanted to capitalize on that moment. And as soon as he got his Heisman back, people started doing a lot of posts around hashtag, Nissan Heisman House. So we wanted to make sure that we brought him back this year, and we wanted to do it in a clever way. And so we decided, well, the creatives decided, not me, but that we would put him in a cryo chamber because he's been busy for a while. We also try to get Joe Burrow. Anyone know who that is? Yeah, okay. We've been trying to get him for a couple years in the Heisman House, but he's had some conflicts with other automotives. So one day we'd like to have him back, and then where's he been this whole time? That'll be interesting. So.
Yeah, and what's he going to wear when he gets there?
And what is he going to wear? I don't even know. We'll have to work that out.
Yeah. So that's been an incredible partnership, right? The NCAA and specifically the Heisman House. Can you walk us through how that's been like such a great fit and how you came to arrive at that in the first place?
Well, if you look at the landscape of sports, it's very crowded, right? And so we wanted to make sure that we're connecting with athletes and with cultural moments. So if you look at college football and college sports in general, that's where everyone is. And yes, they're in the NFL and they're in professional basketball and NBA, but there's other brands there. So for us, it was more about how do we own the passion you feel about college sports. So I have two children. One went to the University of Alabama. That's my questions. And the other one is currently at LSU. And if you've ever been to any game, any actual college football game that's not at USC or UCLA, it is 50,000 times more energetic, and those passionate fans are running around. I can't even explain to you how crazy it is. So how do we tap into this fandom? And with products like the Z, we have our own fandom in the GTR. And how do we connect Nissan in this? So for us, it was a great fit. The challenge was, how do you make your product the star? It's a little bit different if you have a Coke can, or if you have a pair of shoes, or if you have headphones or Beats or different things. For us, it's a big car. So how do we bring that car to the forefront was our challenge.
Yeah, so thinking of that, how do you find that balance between culture and sports and brand and hold on to the Nissan-ness of it?
Yeah, that was a challenge this year. And this year, we wanted to make sure that the car was the hero of it. So when you see all the creative, you'll see that the car has it's a key player, right? We also have all the Heismans, but we want to make sure that when Reggie Bush wakes up, what's new? The first thing he does is get into our Nissan vehicle. Obviously, a lot of new things have happened since it's been in that cryo chamber, but you get the gist.
Let's take a look at that next spot.
Yeah, let's play it.
It's game day. Let's get them up.
Hey, Google, turn on the Heisman House.
I'm in the game.
Hey, Google, turn on the rookie alarm.
Rise and shine.
Early Heisman gets the work. Early Heisman gets the work.
Nobody sleeps in on game day.
What'd y'all think? So obviously we had to find clever ways to incorporate the vehicle and utilize the vehicle features. So that's about Google built in our cars and all the things you can do. You can also feed your pets while you drive. So if you have a little thing at home that's connected to Google Home, you can say, feed my dog, and a little pebbles of doggy food will come out, and the car can do a lot of things.
It's pretty incredible to wrap Heisman Trophy or Heisman winners, a little bit of AI, some Google, and make Nissan the center spoke of it.
That's our secret sauce for this year.
Yeah, I mean, so going back to that rabid loyalty, and it's hard to find a place where kind of culture, sports, brand, and like extreme loyalty exists or intersects more than in the NCAA, and obviously you live it. What's that experience like on game day for you between LSU and Alabama?
My God, it's awful. I mean, it's great. So secretly, I have to shout for each, right? So when Alabama has a good moment, I'm like, yay, roll Tide. And then when Louisiana has a moment, I'm like, go Tigers. And then one of the kid cries, like either my son's crying at the end or my daughter's crying at the end. It's traumatizing at our
Is
house.
it like that Heisman House wake-up moment at Thanksgiving when they're both home and it's Saturday morning?
Oh my gosh, it is just like that. It's just like that. So when they play against each other, they're playing November 8th or 9th in Baton Rouge. And my son and his posse are going down to see my daughter. So I don't know if I'm going to show up or stay in Nashville. It's unclear yet.
Maybe safer in Nashville.
Maybe safer in Nashville at the honky tonks.
Let's take a look at this last spot.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, Mark, what are you doing, buddy?
I've always wanted to be in a homecoming parade. I grew these flowers myself, but more so, I grew as a person. Check this. Showtime.
So thank you. So Mark Ingram is amazing. And he came to Nashville to our headquarters in Franklin, Tennessee, and had a day with us, and it was so fun. He did give me SHIT for wearing a LSU jersey, but I tried to explain like today I have to be LSU. So it was a fun moment with him.
I bet. Do you ever get them all together in Nashville?
No, but on set they're all together. So last year it was all about where's the Heisman house. This year is about bringing football back. But when the guys are on the set together, it is truly amazing because it is a club. You know, it's their own secret society. You have to win the Heisman. I was at Vanderbilt, and the head of their sports department goes, "We really love to be in the Heisman commercials." And I said, "Absolutely, once you win a Heisman." No problem. He goes, "Oh, I had a feeling that was a prerequisite." I was like, yeah.
Tough club, and like all super A-type, like, apex athletes. It must be brutal at the house,
It is brutal. And it's funny because you have people like Tim Tebow, who's super outgoing, great on camera, RG3. And then you have the new guys who are a little bit unsure of themselves. Remember, these guys are not actors. They're athletes. And it's a very different skill set. So getting them warmed up. Aaron Stoller is our director who's been doing them for the last 5 years. And he does a really, really good job of getting the talent to come out of themselves. Jaden Daniels was awesome, but he was like introverted, a little bit shyer than the other guys. And so Reggie Bush and RG3 did a really good job of like helping him on set. So it's truly a unique experience.
Yeah, it's super special, and I mean, it's been going on for decades, and each year it gets better and better. I know that you have a super localized kind of one-off partnership in Nashville. How would you compare that? And it's by no means a small thing, but how would you compare that to the Heisman, like the Heisman experience and the Heisman house for Nissan?
Well, the Nissan Stadium, home of the Titans. There we go. One person. Yay.
We've got like one
Yay.
from everywhere.
I can't believe it. Oh, I did get to do the sword thing. There's a thing with the sword. It's called Tighten Up. And you take this sword and you wave it around. It's like a legit sword. And then you stab it in this thing and like confetti goes. You can look it up on YouTube. But anyway, we love the Titans, and I have never met a better organization. We just signed a very long deal with them for the brand new stadium. It's launching in 2027. It's going to be state-of-the-art stadium. We have amazing concerts. Taylor Swift was just there. We have so many performers coming to Nashville. It is truly an amazing partnership, and it's really a local play for us. We're part of that community. We're part of the fabric of Tennessee, and we want to continue to grow that relationship.
Yeah, I mean, both super big anchor partnerships that resonate and obviously really tie together that piece of brand and sports. Anything you want to share with the group going forward, or any sneak peeks that we haven't already shown them?
Oh gosh, I don't even know about sneak peeks. I'm not allowed to say anything. I think the PR people would be like, stop talking. We do have new products coming out. We have the all new Kicks, which we just launched, which is amazing. There's speakers in the headrest. My daughter's getting one next week. So I told her the more of them you can sell, the longer summer vacation you can have. So got to put those children to work. We have a lot of fun stuff happening. Obviously, the Heisman House is now. And then we're going to roll into NCAA and a lot more things on the horizon for us. So keep an eye out.
Do you have a favorite for the Heisman at this point?
I really don't, to be honest. And we have a little pool at work where we're like, who we think is going to win. And we're always wrong. So we'll see. I just want Alabama to beat Georgia this weekend is my goal.
First things
and then
first.
We'll see. And then we'll see how it goes. Either LSU or Bama to win the championship. That's always my vote.
Yeah, if I'm picking odds, I'm going to say quarterback this year. It seems like there's not much else in the pool or anything.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, great content as always. Great insights on the brand. Anything that we can answer from the crowd? Anybody?
Yes. Any questions? Oh, we can see you all now. Oh, hey.
It's not just us here.
I know. I thought we were alone. It was kind of weird.
It's like back to COVID.
I know. Like back in COVID, you're talking to yourself for 45 minutes. You're like, oh, it's just me.
Hi, how you doing? Shane Needham from Activision Publishing. I was just wondering, with all the talent that you bring together for the Heisman House, how do you leverage that outside of just the spots? Are you thinking of that as a holistic campaign where you're leveraging their socials, their influence on their individual communities, so that you can really scale out that influence and impact that you have with them?
Yeah, we also do the Heisman Tour. So we do that around 8 to 10 stops a year. So we are doing that on a grassroots level. We also do it from a social perspective, from a digital perspective. We do the whole gamut of all the things. And also, obviously, getting into gaming. So we try to leverage it as much as we can.
Back in the back.
So quiet.
It's cold. They're all frozen.
I know, everyone's frozen here. It's California. We're all frozen. Go to Tennessee.
Hey, how's it going? First and foremost, go Gators. As a diehard, Brenton Nickerson from Nike, diehard sports fan, but also like a diehard marketing fan. And I think that the Heisman House does an amazing job of blending the two. So I'm very curious, when you guys are putting together the storylines, like you guys do an amazing job of highlighting the authentic stories of each of these athletes to sell features and benefits. So is that something that's done in-house and managed in-house, or is that something that your creative team that you bring in is just like Wizard set? But just super curious, because every time I watch it, I'm like, the Reggie Bush thing, I was like, that's an amazing way of showing the changes in society since his Heisman been taken. So we'd just love to know a little bit more about the secret sauce that you can share.
The secret sauce is at Chiat, and we have a great creative team. Barney Goldberg is one of the individuals that leads that team. There's a lot of people on my team that know a lot more about football. I'm not going to be a football expert. I don't know all the nuances. And sometimes they present creative to me, and I'm like, I don't understand. Like, what is this about? Like, why am I worried about where the gators went? Like, did someone eat them? Like, so they do a good job of explaining the history and the nuances of all of the players. And the creative team really does a great job. And it is very thoughtful and thinking about each player, each school, each mascot, and thinking about how they're going to go together. And just think of the complexity of, like, first of all, who are the players? We have a roster of players. And how are they interacting with each other? How is the vehicle involved? And what are the nuances of it? And then some of them are not as great as acting as others, as I said. So how do you get the ones that have more personality and better acting together? So it is really the agency and the force of this creative team that are football experts bringing that to life. And then again, my team has a couple guys that are like football. They know everything about football. You got to trust the experts, because honestly, my football knowledge, like, I had to send my son the pictures of all the players so he could explain to me who they were. I mean, that was my level of experience.
Hi there, Leonard Armato, and from Management Plus. I've written a number of articles in Forbes about NIL. So I wanted to talk to you about NIL for a second, because your team knows a lot about football.
Yes.
So have you ever thought of getting a roster of NIL potential Heisman candidates and then watch them sort of progress throughout the season and ultimately pay off in a beautiful commercial for Nissan?
We have. It's something called budget. I don't know if y'all heard of it. It's really rough to manage. But we have to have the balance between the athlete and their star and my star, which is the car. So we had, for example, Brie Larson is one of our brand ambassadors, and we use her at key moments within the work, and also Jay Ellis. But we really wanted to move away from having representatives and brand ambassadors in the creative. We needed to really focus on people being more familiar with our cars, because Nissan hasn't had much new news for over a year and a half. So if you don't have new news and you're not relevant in culture, then your brand metrics start to go down. And how do you bring that up? You have to make sure people are really familiar with your car and you're generating new news. Obviously, we have, does anyone know, this is a trick question, Does anyone know that Nissan has a vehicle called the Aria? Okay, so yeah, and there's some of you that said no. You know why you don't know? Because we advertised it for 45 days and we'd never put it on air again and no one ever knew about it. But it's an amazing all electric vehicle that we're doing from a regional advertising perspective. So, and again, it gets very complicated because we'll talk about electrification and how the world is maybe not ready for as much electrification as we all thought. Hopefully, we're going to put that back up. But again, it's about brand awareness. And I have so many children to feed. And so we have to prioritize from a marketing perspective where are we putting those dollars. And launching vehicles, having the right partnerships, being part of culture, being part of the multicultural landscape, really important. 40% of all our buyers are multicultural. We really want to make sure that we uplift those communities and we don't want to cut budgets from there. So what ends up being cut or not considered is having more brand ambassadors.
I'm glad you talked about budget because I only have 3 kids and I feel like you were kind of calling me out.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Anybody else? How do you decide who goes into what car within the creative? Because Mark Ingram, big guy, needs to go in a truck. Who goes in the Kicks?
Well, in the Kicks, we had our Kicks is our hero product because it's all new. So we want to make sure Reggie was in that. So that's why we had the frozen spot because we wanted Reggie to debut that car. So we prioritize the vehicles as we do the athletes. I think there's a question right here.
One up front somewhere.
One up front right here.
Hi, I'm John with Netflix. I have a question about EVs. It feels like we're reaching an inflection point of adoption, but I imagine there are still a lot of fence sitters. And I'm curious from a marketing perspective, what are you hearing from your research about what are the biggest preventative causes for not adopting an EV, and how are you tapping into that into your marketing strategy?
That's a big question. Let me start with California, right? So California, we're all supposed to be driving EVs, which is awesome. But then I get a text from someone saying, don't charge today because the grid is overwhelmed. So that has been one of the challenges that people face all the time. It's where can they charge? How can they charge? And it's a change of behavior. If I told my mom she had to drive an EV, she would cry. I drove an EV for a very long time and I loved it. I loved it because I charged at work. I didn't even have to charge at home. I loved it because it was the perfect vehicle for me. But I think changing consumer mindsets and your behaviors is really hard. So for us from a marketing perspective, we need to really show how easy it is to use an EV and what are the benefits of the EV. I mean, the Aria is a beautiful vehicle. It's not a vehicle where you're worried you're going to press a button and you're going to be ejected from the seat and you don't know what they all do. It's very driver centric. So for us, it's really focusing on what is the customer asking for, what product we have that's right for them, and showing them how easy it is from an ownership perspective and charging. And hopefully from an infrastructure perspective, we'll be bringing more infrastructure so it'll make it even easier for people.
Great question. That's something Volta and Shell are working hard on.
Please, God, make some please. You need
not
it.
to take over the conversation, but I mean, it's a complicated calculus, and to deliver that education is difficult in a 30-second or a 15-second spot. It's a lifestyle change.
And we have to do it together. We all have to do it together. It's not one OEM's job or one company's job to do that. We have to do it together to educate people. And we will get there. I just don't know. The speed of which we thought we were going to get there isn't quite that speed. And we also have to work through like different types of batteries, longer battery life, the cost of the battery, all those things, and then the disposal of the battery. There's a lot of things for us to think about as a team, right?
Right, and in an evolutionary sense, for the right car, for the right people at the right or the right person at the right time, not necessarily a blanket transition. It's very much a long process.
I would have to like follow my mom around with extra batteries or something. Like she wouldn't make it. Wouldn't make it.
My mom's buying a car. She's 77. We had this conversation, and it was not a quick or easy one.
I have a discount I can give you if she buys a Nissan.
She's coming
It's like
your
a
way.
really good discount. My mom's getting a Murano. She's going to love it.
If you have an assistant that will travel with her to show her the charging and calm her nerves, we'll take it.
All right. Any more questions?
Anyone else?
All right. One right here.
Hi, Zoe Ziegler. I'm ex-Toyota, and Marisstella, good to see you
Nice
again.
to see you again.
So Automotive is traditionally a very long lead type of culture, right? You plan years in advance, but we're also in a stage in culture right now that where you have to stay up with culture and operate at the speed of culture. So how do you balance the two of like having these like long lead planning cycles, but also ensuring that you're being nimble enough to hit culture moments when they happen?
That's a very good question. It's really hard. It's really hard because they're planning these vehicles so far out, and you know what's coming. So I think for us, it's like, can we capture that cultural moment when it's happening and then figure out what product makes sense with it? So it is a challenge for us every single day, and we've really ramped up our social team. So we make sure we have content creators that we can deploy anytime, anywhere. I just this weekend was at this wonderful event in Oceanside, which is the Supergirl Pro Surfing event. I always get that confused. And it was where we're uplifting young ladies and supporting them, these female athletes. And I met the most badass women. The woman sitting next to me, her name is Siren. She flies F1 somethings. I don't know, the really fast planes. It's insane. Like all the women there were like amazing. And that was a cultural moment. And we didn't have our social team there. And so I thought we had the regional social team there, but not our social team. So we missed that opportunity. So our jobs is as we continue to build and try to understand what's happening within culture, whether it's this event, whether it's something else or something happens in the moment, we want to capitalize on that. When I worked on the Genesis business years ago, there was a moment where Genesis did a Cheerios did a shout out to Genesis. And it was during the Super Bowl. And so we went out in the parking lot and put "Thank you Cheerios" with Cheerios on the Genesis. So there's those little moments that we can tap into, but it's a struggle, and I don't think anyone really has it right yet.
I think we have time for one more quick question.
Or not.
It's got to be quick.
Quick. Nothing complicated like EVs or culture.
Yeah. Or moms buying cars.
Or moms buying cars. We have a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's a whole lineup.
Well, thanks everybody for having us. Super great chat.
Thank you,
Marisstella.
everybody.
I'm going to hand it back to David now to
Thank you,
continue the
everybody.
program.
Have a good one. Thank you.
Can we all have that discount?